everybody, NewbSwingTrader here, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how I analyze my stocks to determine or come up with a list of stocks that I'm willing to invest in for the next trading day or for the next for the upcoming trading week. Um, Keep in mind I'm fairly new to investing. I've only been investing for just over a month now, so there's a lot of stuff that I don't know. So I really encourage you guys to do your own research, watch other people on YouTube and really get an idea of how everybody else is trading stocks. Um, Again, I'm fairly new, so I don't want you guys to think that this is the only way to analyze stocks. This is just a way that I've found to be useful for myself. I've had pretty good success with it. So I wanted to share with you guys, especially for those that are new to investing, if you're just getting started, some of the things that you want to look for, before you make the decision to buy into a stock. Okay. Um, so I don't know if you guys have seen my other video. I made a video showing you guys how to create a scanner so that you can find potential stocks. So that would be the first step. The first step would be come up with a list of stocks that you're willing to invest in. Okay, so this is my scanner. I'll change it from day to day, but generally I showed you guys how to create one. And the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to put this list of stocks, whether you're looking at penny stocks or you're looking at ETFs. I personally like trading ETFs, but the first thing you would want to do is save this list into a watch list, and then over here you would simply just populate this list, uh, you know, from that scan that you just ran. Okay. Now, once you've scanned for stocks and put them into a watch list, similar to how I have this first one up here, um, then you're going to want to do some uh, analysis using the 180-day 4-hour chart. Okay, and this is kind of a big picture. What has a stock been doing for the last 180 days? Okay, and one of the things that I look for is I'm looking for stocks that are increasing in value. If I look at the simple moving average line, I want it to be pointing up. I drew these arrows indicating that the simple moving average line is pointing up. So this is the price scale over on the right. You want something that is increasing in value. You guys see that? If I look at the exponential moving average line, it's pointing up. Okay, the candlesticks are above the exponential moving average line. And this is an example of something that's trending down. Okay, you see the simple moving average line is pointing down. The exponential moving average line is pointing down. Okay, this is not something that I personally would invest in. Like I said, I'm very conservative. I only like to invest in things that are increasing in value over time. Okay, I'm a swing trader. I'm not really a day trader. I don't have over $25,000 in my account, so I have to stay within the pattern day trading rule, which is 3 day trades in a 5-day trading period. So this helps me find stocks that I'm willing to hold overnight and hold for a few days, and swing trade. So that's kind of what I do is I look at the 180-day 4-hour chart, okay, and I just toggle through them, and anything that I see is increasing over time, then I put into another list. So you can create another list and name it whatever you'd like, whether it's trending up or trending down. And you can populate that list with stocks that you're willing to invest in. Okay? And then once you've narrowed this big list down to say 5 to 10 stocks, then you're going to want to uh, zoom in and look at what the stock has been doing for the last several days. Okay, so if you're really looking to swing trade or day trade, you're gonna want to also look at what has the stock been doing the last few days. So, you can choose a 1 day 1 minute, 3 day 5 minute, 5 day 5 minute, whatever you prefer, whatever your preference is. I'm just going to use a 3 day 5 minute average chart for now. And I'm going to show you guys some of the patterns that you guys can look for that may be useful in, determining when is a good time to buy and when is a good time to sell. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to show you guys is what I call an uptrend or an up pattern, where over time the stock price is slowly increasing. Okay, it's moving up. Again, if you look at the simple moving average line, this green line, it's pointing up, right? If you look at the exponential moving average line, it's also pointing up. It's definitely not pointing down. Okay, that's what you want to avoid. You want to avoid stocks that are decreasing in value over time. Okay, so this is an up pattern or an uptrending pattern. Okay, now this is a down pattern. If you see something like this, where over time the stock price is dropping, then these are the ones you want to avoid, right? You don't want to invest in something. If you were to buy here, then the very next day, if you didn't sell because you have, again, you only have three day trades in a 5 day trading period. So if you buy into something and you can't sell that day anymore because you already made your 3 day trades, well, guess what? You're gonna have to hold it for at least a day, right? And it's slowly just gonna decrease in value, and you're gonna be losing money over time. Okay, so these are the types of patterns that you have to be able to recognize when you look at a stock and realize, okay, well, this pattern, this stock is clearly trending down. Okay, this is something you want to avoid. Again, if you're looking to swing trade, then an uptrending pattern, an up pattern, is something that is attractive to swing traders, right? Because if you buy into a stock and you hold it for a couple of days, then the stock price is going to continuously go up, right? And then if you hold it overnight, you can sell it the next day for a profit. Or if you hold it for 2 days, then you'll make an even bigger profit, right? So these are two of the patterns that you can sort of recognize when you're looking at stocks. Again, this is looking at this stock for the last 3 days, the last 3 trading days. Okay, now let's look at another stock. Let's type it in here. WTI. This is a stock that would be very appealing for a day trader. When I look at this, I see that this is what I would call a horizontal pattern. Okay, it's not moving up and it's not moving down. Okay, I established a support line down here and I established a resistance line. And all that means is whenever the stock price hits this resistance price or this resistance line, generally it tends to reverse and then go back down, right? And then whenever it hits this support line down here, it tends to reverse and go back up. And it's done that consistently several times, right? So if you can recognize these patterns, then you can sort of, if this pattern continues, then you have an idea of when would be a good time to buy and when would be a good time to sell. Now you don't you have other tools at your disposal. Okay, I talked about in one of my videos where I showed you how to set up your thinkorswim to look like mine. You have this relative strength index indicator. Okay, this gives you an idea of when it's a good time to buy and when's a good time to sell. So, if you look at right here, for example, right, if you were to buy here somewhere around this area, the relative strength index is showing blue. It's saying from just this one indicator alone, it's saying now would be a good time to buy into this stock. Okay, now if we look at the stock over here where it crosses the resistance line, look what happens to the relative strength index indicator. The line turns red and it crosses the 70. This yellow line is 70. This is on a scale from 0 to 100, and this is the 70 line. And whenever it approaches that 70 line, then it turns red, indicating that it's not a good deal to hold a stock anymore, right? It's overbought, and that's saying, hey, now's probably a good time to sell. Okay, and the MACD indicator, when you see these little bars, whenever the bars are green and they're above this 0 line, the purple line, that means that the stock is increasing. If it's red and it's below the purple line, that means that the stock price is decreasing. Okay, and whenever you see these arrows, that means that there has been a reversal. It changed directions, where it was decreasing before and now it's increasing. Okay, if we look at here, right, it was increasing, and then you see how the candlesticks went from green to red? Right here, there's a change in direction. They were increasing before and now they're decreasing. So, if you're trying to use this indicator to figure out when's a good time to buy, well, like I said, if you've established that this is a support, right? You don't want to buy into a stock while it's decreasing in value, right? If the candlesticks are below the exponential moving average line, it's not ideal to buy. I personally wouldn't buy a stock when the candlesticks are below the exponential moving average. I want the price to be increasing when I buy into it, right? So knowing that, then I would wait for this to bounce off this support line like it did here, and then as it's increasing in value, right, you want to wait until they're trending above the exponential moving average line. And using the MACD indicator, you want to make sure that the bars are showing green, right? It's increasing in value. That means the stock price is moving up. And then once you do that, then you would use it again to figure out, well, when's a good time to sell, right? Keep in mind that just because you've established a pattern does not mean it's always going to repeat itself. So always have that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind. Yes, I've established a pattern here that has repeated itself for the last 3 days, but that doesn't mean it's going to continue repeating itself. The stock market is very volatile. It's random. You don't know what's going to happen the next day. Okay, so use all of these indicators. I like to use the VWAP lines because they can also be sort of an indicator of how far, how much room there is for this thing to grow. So that's another indicator that you guys can use is the VWAP lines. I showed you guys how to put these lines in your chart to make it look like this. But the main indicators I use: simple moving average, exponential moving average, the VWAP lines, and then I use the relative strength index and the MACD indicator. Okay, use everything at your disposal, and there's many more tools out there that you guys can use. If you guys don't like how I do things, that's fine. Watch other videos. There's other people that show you guys how to analyze stocks. This is just one way to do it. Okay, this is just the way that I've figured out how to do it, and the way that I feel comfortable with. Um, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to fit your style of trading, or your style of filtering out stocks, or figuring out patterns in stocks. Okay, and the last thing I want to say to you guys is, in one of my videos I mentioned, do your research. And what do I mean by that? You have to know what type of stock you're buying into. Okay, I'm going to give you guys an example. If I type in ticker symbol UGAZ, UGAZ, okay, this is a natural gas stock. Okay, and the reason that I'm saying this is because natural gas prices fluctuate depending on the time of year. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys using this flexible grid, which is right next to the charts, right up here. This is ticker symbol UGAZ, and down here I have ticker symbol /NG. This is just the natural gas future. Okay, and what I mean by do your research, well, if you look into UGAZ, you would know that this is an ETF that tracks natural gas. So if you see that natural gas prices are increasing, then you can expect UGAZ to also increase. And same thing, when natural gas prices decrease, then you can expect UGAZ to do the same. And the other thing that I want to show you guys is that there are things called leveraged ETFs. I highly suggest you guys look into them, do some research, read about them. But if I look at ticker symbol DGAZ, DGAZ, this is the inverse. Okay, you can't tell, but it's the inverse of natural gas. So maybe I'll show you guys over here. I'll put UGAZ in here. So do you guys see how these things are sort of inverses of each other? If one of them increases, the other one decreases. Okay, so it's important to know that. If one of them's moving up, the other one's moving down. Okay, and obviously the scale is different. If you look at the stock price for this one, this is under, the highest it's been is 31 bucks. For this one, the lowest it's been is 50, for the last 180 days. So this is what I mean by do your research, know what type of stocks you're buying into, because just things like the weather changing can have an impact on stock prices. So just because you established a pattern and you figured out there's a certain pattern, well, if wintertime comes along and natural gas prices go up, then that's going to blow that pattern right out of the water, okay? And you have to be prepared for that. There are reports that are released generally every week that you're welcome to go read. And those reports will influence the stock price. Just how when companies release their quarterly earnings, if they fall short of their targets, there's a good chance stock prices are going to drop for that company. Okay? So, understand what it is that you're buying into. do your research. Okay, that's really important. And um, also, it's a good idea when you do your research and you understand what type of company that it is, whether it's natural gas or it's crude oil or it's gold. Take a look at the futures. Okay, the futures generally have a forward slash in front. NG /NG is the future for natural gas, and you can study this and look at patterns, and this will give you an idea of what the other ETFs will do. Okay, same thing with oil. /CL. This first one. Isn't this working? Here we go. This is the future for crude oil. This will impact, or this will cause certain stocks to follow it, right? Like this is a natural oil or a crude oil stock. So if this goes up, it can cause certain things to go up, and if it's an inverse stock, then it'll cause it to go down. Okay, so really understand what it is that you're buying into. Again, do your research, look at trends, look at big picture, make sure you understand, look at the last 3 years if you have to see if there's any changes, in just things like in the seasons, right? Different seasons may mean different things. In the wintertime, things get cold, natural gas prices go up. In the summertime, maybe the gas prices go down. So understand those certain patterns that may not be, from the last 3 days or for the last week, but over the past year. Okay, you want to understand that. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys. Those are the main sort of tips that I wanted to share with you guys, so that you guys can go out, start analyzing stocks, filter them down. Use a scanner, look at that list, filter that down to say 3 to 5, something that's more manageable, and then look at something in a smaller time frame, right? The last 3 days or the last 5 days, and really, try to come up with maybe 1 or 2 stocks that you'd be willing to invest in for the next trading day. And it's a good idea to do this the night before, and I like to do this on my computer. I have done this, if I was traveling or something like that, and I had to use my phone. Thinkorswim does have a very, very useful and powerful app that you can download, and it allows you to carry your, it syncs up with your desktop version, and it tracks your watch lists. So you can use that, and all these indicators are available on the app. You can have an RSI chart, you can have a MACD chart, you can put VWAP lines and EMA lines and SMA lines. Everything you see here you can do on the app itself, and you can even set alerts right from the app. Okay, so it's very, very useful if you do have the app. But I hope that this video was useful, and with that, thank you for watching. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I always put my email down in the description. If you have any future topics you'd like for me to discuss or make a video on, let me know and I'll make it happen. So thanks everyone, and as always, have fun trading stocks.